following podcast is brought to you by rocklifeoffroad.com. Use code OUTTHETOP to get your savings. Hey guys, back for the last time in 2023. We're going to call this the season finale of Out the Top. That doesn't mean we're going to be gone long, but it is nonetheless going to be our season finale. I'm back at Rock Life Studios. Got Dan Carter with us from Alabama. Dan just got back from PRI, and we're going to get straight into it. He's going to tell us a little bit about PRI, and then we're going to talk NRRA schedules, outlaw schedules, Ultra 4, and a few other things. So stick around with us. Should have a pretty good episode for our season finale here. How was PRI? What can you tell us about PRI? Any insider tips, tricks? Just kind of go through the whole spiel with us.
Right. I tell you what, that was on my bucket list to go to. If anybody doesn't know, and I don't want to fumble this up because I had been planning about talking about all this, but I was just excited about the trip. But it's basically the performance racing industry gets together every year and holds a convention. And I would almost say that it's almost like an expo. All these companies come and showcase their new products. And if you've never been to one, I would highly, highly suggest go if you are in the racing industry. Just a heads up, I'm not 100% sure if they did this Saturday or not, but there was some talk amongst the town that they were allowing general public admission for people just off the street on Saturday. I don't know if that's true or not. It was crowded. We went Friday and Saturday. It was crowded both days. But just to give you a heads up, you do have to be a member of PRI, which is $40 a year. They send out newsletters. It's basically worth the effort just to get to go to PRI. There is an app for the show. That app has your passport, whatever you would call it, tickets in it. You walk in the door, they put you in the appropriate line, and you basically go up to a machine and scan your phone, and you get your credentials and you're in. I would highly recommend going that way instead of trying to just go in and filling out all the paperwork because you have a longer line. You have to talk to somebody face to face. You have to fill the paperwork out. So you could spend a good 30 minutes to an hour just trying to get in the show. But we were able to walk right in and go right to the show. We did a little PRI video that we put on our social media just to kind of run down what all we saw there. But overall, it was a good show. Met a lot of people. It was a big crowd. And kind of some insights. I believe it is in Indianapolis, Indiana, every year. And we opted for, at first my thoughts were, get a hotel just across the street, walk to the show. A few weeks before the show, everything seemed reasonable until you went and put the dates in the phone to explain what days you needed to go. And, man, it was like 3 times more than what it normally was. So we got an Airbnb right outside of town, and we were actually able to Uber to the convention center, get dropped off at the front door, and it was like $10. So that was the best $10 I've ever spent.
So I want to cut you off for just a second.
Oh yeah,
when me and you were talking, you said it was at the convention center. It's been a long time since I've been to Indianapolis.
Right.
We used to go to the Fairgrounds Convention Center,
right,
which is the one I was telling you about. After seeing the videos, I realized it's at Lucas Oil Stadium,
right,
and it's in that area.
Right.
Yeah, we used to do shows in the old convention center on the outskirts of town. So
yeah,
you all were right in
downtown Lucas Oil Stadium, and I guess the convention center is like attached to the stadium. So we were able to get an Uber from our Airbnb right to the door. As I was talking to people, some of these people were paying $25, $30 just to park and then walking like a half a mile to the stadium. So right off the top of the hat, that may be a good thought. Just keep that in mind if you plan on going to this event in the future. Airbnb, I think it was around $100 a night, so a lot cheaper than a motel room. Little larger than a motel room, but I would say everybody needs to go and enjoy it and check it out. There's so much to learn. They have educational courses that they offer free of charge. You can walk around, rub shoulders, check out the new products, and see what all's there. The only thing that kind of uh, you know I think that there's such a great opportunity for the UTV market to get into the PRI stuff. Racing industry. We only saw a handful of side by sides at the convention center. So I feel like some of these racing companies for the UTV industry should definitely look into that and help this thing grow. It's just, I mean, there was anything from vintage cars to race trailers. I mean, anything you can think of in the racing industry, you're going to find it at PRI.
Do you think the lack of, I guess, off road stuff, side by sides, even the big bouncers, there was only a couple there. Do you think the lack of that there is because we do kind of have several little off road shows around the country? We used to have the National Off Road Expo. And that is the performance racing industry show. I'm not saying that side by sides and stuff aren't performance racing. I just wonder if there's a big enough call for it to be at that event. I would figure, especially you got companies like RCV,
right?
Who do big and small. I would think Fox Shocks, Walker Evans, some of these tire manufacturers,
right?
Sure, you're probably not going to see some smaller suspension companies and things like that everybody's used to, but I feel like TPR, Total Performance, that does the Razor engines and stuff, I feel like that would be a decent place, because I don't know what it costs to go.
Right.
But I feel like that would be a decent place for somebody like them. Or some of these high-end companies like HCR or some of that stuff. I feel like it could be, and I don't know. I don't know if it's a missed opportunity or if it's not. Like I said, I don't know what the cost is for them to go and set up. I know what cost was for us to do shows years ago on a much smaller scale. So maybe the money doesn't add up, but I don't know, dude. I just think it would be cool for like Polaris. This is performance racing.
Right.
How cool would it have been for Polaris to be there with some of their factory race cars?
Right.
And a couple of smaller tier guys, maybe like us. Or,
absolutely.
It would just be cool. Because, listen, every one of those Street Outlaw guys were there with their $1 million rigs. Every one of those guys has got Razors too. They've all got side-by-sides. Most everybody there probably does.
Right.
So it could be a dual purpose. I don't know. Maybe they just figure that's better off left to the off-road shows, but I feel like there is room for it.
Yeah.
So if you're a racer, but in anything really, if you need fire suits, want to go look at them in person instead of trying to order online or get. I'm assuming they probably measured you there. You could work on your designs there. There's all kinds of vendors for that stuff. I seen they were doing karting in the arena.
Right. That was cool. It was, I know you guys have heard me talk about how cool it was to actually see the EV rally cars at Mid-America for Visions last year. It was kind of the same deal. There was some EV carts there that were set up and kind of running around the stadium. And I mean, you could hear I say engines, but I mean, you could hear the electric motors whining. But basically the loudest part about it was they had I guess, plastic tiles put down to make the course, so to keep the cars from going way too fast, or I guess it was kind of like a speed control deal, but all you could hear was the tires clanking on that plastic snap. So, I mean, it was pretty neat to check out. You know, they probably, I know the top speed on those things are a lot faster than what they were actually going. It was almost like trying to walk across a frozen pond. You know, those guys were running those things. They were just very, very careful to keep them from spinning out. So,
well, it's in a small area like that, laying
Right.
on the ground. I figure the speed sensation is very high. I've never gotten to race karts, but I think that would be fun as could be.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, so that's a good show. We done the I wasn't there. The National Rock Racing Association released their schedule there, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. All right, so PRI, Clyde released the 2023 schedule for the National Rock Racing Association. Outlaw had already released their schedule. Jesus, I can't talk. We'll go over all 16 of those dates in order. We'll start the first race of the season, which I think I am going to miss because I'm probably going to be in Daytona. Is Outlaw 1, the first race, is February 17th at Hawk Pride.
Right.
I imagine that's going to be cold. Hawk Pride's pretty violent. Makes for some daggone good racing, so if you guys can get out and watch that, head there. The next race on the schedule is the National Rock Racing Association Round 1. That is March 1st and 2nd at Windrock Park.
That's right.
Haven't heard yet where we're running. I'm assuming on the back, unless they've cut something new back on the front side. I know Clyde really likes that back because there's more room to do all the series.
Right.
The front is a straight up hill kill, and there's not much room for the Cup Series and the stock class and all that. So,
right. Yeah, he does like to keep all that stuff combined, and that's, you know, that's smart on his part too.
Well, it's a lot easier. Race number 3 is going to be Outlaw number 2. That's March 9th at Carter's Off-Road. I've never been there, never seen it. Do you know anything about that park?
I do not, other than there's no relation.
Okay, not Dan's family. So that's March 9th.
So don't be hitting us up for free entry.
Let me get them tickets, cuz. Let's see. National Rock Racing Association Round 2. It's going to be March 29th at 30th at Wildcat in East Bernstadt, Kentucky, which is about 45 minutes from me. I wish we could race there 10 times a year. Spectators, if you're listening to this and for whatever reason you've never been to one of these events, you're not going to get a better viewing opportunity. That is the best place, I think, to go see the races if you've never been to one, because you can see 100% of it.
Right.
Wildcat's always a good time. NRRA Round 3 is April 12th and 13th at Hot Springs, Arkansas. Now, this is where it gets fun.
That's right.
Outlaw 3, also April 13th in Good Evening Ranch in West Virginia. There are a lot of guys who run both series. Mm-hmm. I'm anxious to see how this plays out. I may be wrong, but I'm almost certain there was an event double booked last year, and I think Outlaw was nice enough to move their date.
Right.
I don't know if they'll be nice enough to move their date 2 years in a row. I can guarantee that National Rock is not moving theirs. I don't know how that's going to work out. I know there's already some grumblings about that. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I will not probably be at either.
Right.
So I'll just watch it on my phone. Next event is the National Rock Racing Association Round 4, May 3rd and 4th at the Rush Off-Road Park in Rush, Kentucky for their anniversary bash. Or no, that's it's anniversary bash.
Right.
Okay, if you've never been to Rush and you're listening to this, as soon as tickets are available and you're thinking about going, you better buy your tickets.
Absolutely.
Anniversary bash will sell out. Not official yet, but I do think Pro Rock is doing knockout racing after our racing on Saturday.
Right.
So we're going to have a full day from 9 a.m. to probably after dark. Good old-fashioned hill killing. I wouldn't be surprised if they have something else pop up. I've seen monster trucks there. I've seen mud trucks. Endurance racing. Who knows? Guarantee that will be a good time. Outlaw number 4, May 18th in Sugar Creek, Kentucky. Don't think Sugar Creek is an actual park. Fritz from Fritz Transmissions, that's his farm. I think it's a private place, but he lets them have that event there every year. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a private place though. So that'll be a good time. Outlaw number 4, National Rock number 5, going back to Hawk Pride on May 31st and June 1st.
Right.
So our August Hawk Pride, which is typically when it is fall or into summer, it's got moved to the 1st of summer.
Right.
I don't know why. We've always run, maybe because it's always 1,000 degrees down there.
Right.
Try something different. Hope for a little better weather.
Right. Well, I'm not going to be upset about that because that Alabama weather can be it can be hot, especially wearing a race suit during the midsummer. So I'm not going to complain that it is going to be a little bit cooler.
There's a picture on this table somewhere of me at Hawk Pride from 2019, and you can tell the sweat is just wringing off of me. And I had already raced. Like I was just standing there.
Right.
Our next event is Outlaw number 5, June 22nd at Alabama Ride Park.
Right.
Don't know where that's at. Do you?
I do not exactly know where it is because we've never been there. It is a new park. From what I understand, and listen closely, you can Google this park, but the name on Google is Alabama Mountain Ride Park, and it is in Russellville, Alabama. I do not have the address right off, but I will post that at some point in time.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Right.
Send that to me. We'll put that in the show notes too. So that would be interesting. I mean, I love new places.
Yeah, and I've already seen there's a few guys that help with Hawk Pride that are helping I believe his name is Jason Parker that is trying to get this park up and going. And I know they have mud there. They have Bounty Hills there. So I think it's going to be something for everyone. So it'll be interesting to see this park grow in the future.
Yeah, that'll be good. We've got some more new parks coming up down the road here.
Right.
NRRA Round 6, June 28th, 29th, back at Good Evening Ranch for the second year in a row. The Friday classes there, if we run the same stuff we did last year, I think, honestly, that is some of the coolest racing.
Right.
Because that is rock racing. I mean,
Right.
you're racing through a rock garden. That is that's a pretty neat place. But now their Saturday course,
a little different story.
It's let's just hope they've done some work to that hill. Outlaw number 6. This is going to be their finals, July 20th. Blue Holler in Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. Blue Holler, we were there last year. Pretty good race course if it's in the same area. They've raced there several different places. Not too far from home for me. Not my favorite park, but Puts on some pretty good racing.
Right.
Our next new park, which we were just at, and I had no clue this was coming on the schedule until the schedule dropped.
Right.
NRRA 7, August 2nd and 3rd at Pretty Place Off-Road Park in Belvedere, Tennessee. For those of you who don't know, that is basically Circle E Ranch.
Right.
You'll probably come in. You'll probably park at Circle E. Pretty Place is literally across the road.
That's right.
From my understanding, and I talked to some people this week about this park. If you've seen our videos that we've been putting out of that event, it's really wooded. Don't let that discourage you from viewing. From what I understand, every bit of that's going to be cleared out.
Really?
They're cutting that whole side off. They're only leaving the big stuff. They're cutting all the underbrush, small saplings, and all that stuff. They're cutting all that out. They're supposed to be backing up the where the racers were parked in that flat. They're supposed to be clearing all that back out so we can get some spectators in there.
Good deal.
Hopefully we can get some vendors down at the bottom of the hill. And I think if they do, as long as it's good weather,
right,
shouldn't be a problem. That road, I would hate to try and get my toter out that gravel road full of, like it was when we were there.
Right.
But if it's good weather, you should be able to get vendors in and out of there pretty easy.
Right. Yeah, that's something I did want to add, that I'm glad that it was pretty much gravel from paved road all the way to the race field.
Yeah.
There was.
It's supposed to be a highway from the highway to down there. So.
That's right. But I don't know who drove it down there, but I thought I did see like a Honda Civic at the race.
No, there was a car down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's in some of our videos, I'm sure. So that'll be good. New place. NRRA Round 8, August 23rd and 24th, back in Rush Springs on the short course. And I say short course, then the hill. Round 9 is September 13th and 14th in Indian Mountain for a Ride for a Cure event. We were there this past year for the Ride for a Cure event as well. I think that was the same weekend that they were in Missouri this past season. So they split that up a little bit. SRS, or National Rock Racing Association, is going to be in Indian Mountain. That'll be a good time. We will definitely be attending that. Like that park. I hope it's dry, but I like that park. Cleaning that red clay off of everything. Phew.
That's a mess.
It is a mess. I'm not used to that. And then National Rock Round 10, our finals, back at Mid-America, back on traditional finals weekend, be October 3rd through the 5th. We're going to be sharing again, I think, with their short course series, but should be a good time. So there's our season. Anything stand out to you? Any surprises in the schedule? Any disappointments? Any excitement? I don't know.
Oh, man. I'll be honest with you. I really am excited that we are back at Hawk Pride, but it's going to be cooler weather. That did kind of throw me for a loop. I was really shocked that we were going to be going to Pretty Place Off-Road Park.
I was too, after seeing, and I'm not knocking the place at all.
Right.
After seeing Pretty Place when we were there a couple weeks ago, I'm like, man, this place has got potential.
Right.
And evidently they have about 9 months to get it.
Right.
So they've got time.
I feel like they've got plenty of time to get that taken care of. I'm never really disappointed with any of Clyde's schedules. We always know that.
I'm just glad Disney's not on there.
What we can expect, but I am super glad that there's no Disney on there, and I'm not going to miss the drive to Texas at all. So I am glad to see that back on not on the schedule.
Yeah, I think we're done down there after the debacle down there last time where they wouldn't let you guys in the gate,
right,
and all that. So I think we're done down there. I would like to at some point come back to Hollerwood.
I agree.
I don't think that's a park that we can do every year.
Right.
The course area is limited. It's the same thing every year.
Right.
So if you do it all the time, it kind of waters it. I would like to go back. I would like for 2 to 3 of these events to be rotational on the National Rock schedule. Yeah. You've got your staples, your 4 or 5 staples that you're at every year. The rest of them need to rotate some, and that's pretty well what he does.
Right.
He tries to keep it fresh. I'm excited for the Indian Mountain to be a sanctioned event. I think that could be a good race. We kind of had one of those 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
Where it was a Pro Rock and National Rock went together on an event, and I think the National Rock was points paying.
I think it was.
I'm pretty sure it was. It was points paying event. But that was the only time, and we're racing in the new area now, so
right.
I don't know. I hate that it's 3 miles out in the woods.
Right. That's the only thing that I'm not looking forward to, and it may be worth mentioning to somebody. When we were leaving out of there last time, there was like a really good-looking field just over the crest of the hill to the left, and it may not hurt for them to allow like a racers-only parking area right there.
From what I understand, when we were down there before, people could go down there and park and unload. The racers could and go do their thing.
Right.
I don't know I don't know how big that area actually is.
Right.
I don't know if it's big enough to house all the racers.
Right.
But there does need to. That's something we're going to have to think about, because we're going to have, 10 to 15, maybe even 20 bouncers, until how many side by sides, and we're not allowed to ride the blacktop.
Right.
So
yeah, that needs to be looked after. We kind of ran into this a couple of years ago at Disney. Like, how would we get everything from Mid-America to Disney if we were to split that up? It's kind of the same concept. If you ride by trail to the race hill, it is a good hike. I'm like you. I think it's like 3 to 5 miles through the woods to the race hill,
or it's a half mile from the blacktop, if that far.
Right. So I feel like if they would allow, there's going to be some carnage regardless, but if they would allow somebody to maybe take a gooseneck or something and throw at least the side-by-side guys on there, get them to the event hill, and then maybe let a couple of the bouncer guys there that's in pickups and trailers just to come park in that area, and not necessarily let that be a campground, but just a drop-off point, so to speak.
Yeah, and see, that's what I tried to I asked them about that when we were down there before, and the answer I got was, well, you can trailer down there and unload and go race. And I was like, some of these guys have semis.
Right.
Some of them have motorhomes. Most of us are not pulling a 16-foot trailer behind a pickup.
Right.
So it's not something you can just whip in and whip out.
Right.
I don't know. If there's more room there, that does need to be addressed before we show up there and racers get a bunch of tickets for riding on the blacktop, because I know our bunch, and yeah,
it'll happen.
So that needs to be thought about. We've got a while. We've got almost a year, so let's find a solution to that.
Yeah.
Because listen, some of these Razor race buggies, 2-gallon tanks.
Right.
Just enough to make the pump work. They don't need to be driving 4 miles out in the woods racing and trying to expect it to drive out. Right. So I don't know. Think about that, guys. If anybody from that Indian Mountain group is listening.
Well, yeah, and I know they're going to be like, oh, we've hosted several races here before. But
This is different.
I will go ahead and say this is going to be a whole different situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a little different. So just something to think about. But I am excited for that. And I'm looking at the schedule again. I'm excited. So let's be honest. Our rush race last summer, attendance was horrible.
Right.
I mean, absolutely horrible. You've never seen somebody so dejected in all my life. Me. 400 and some tickets sold. Seems like, I mean, 400 to 500 tickets to anything is decent, right? I mean, I guess.
Right.
But not at a park that size.
Right.
400 to 500 people looks like nothing when you're used to seeing 4,500 or 5,000. But it was the weekend that it was. It was the weather. That's why there wasn't anybody there. Anniversary Bash is a completely different deal.
Right.
It would sell out if they were racing turtles down the gravel road. So that's going to be wild. That's going to be a good time. I haven't been to Anniversary Bash in a few years. Definitely going this year. Get your tickets. Okay, so last week we talked about the possible demise of Ultra 4, more or less. There's been some more stuff come out. We were going to just glaze over it, but in the last 24 hours, both Dave Cole and Jason Robinette has issued statements. If anybody doesn't know, Dave Cole is the owner of Hammer King. Used to own Ultra 4. So Jason issued a statement. Jason is the current owner of Ultra 4. They both talked, and there's a Facebook group out there called Rock Sports Insiders, and that's where all the good stuff comes out. There's where all your Ultra 4 guys hang, some of the hill climb guys, but that's where you get your information as far as Ultra 4. If you want to nerd out and listen to them or read about them guys talking about rules and yada, 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 and fuss about this, that's where it's at. It's a public group. I was just flipping through there the other day, and one of the drivers had asked the question, more or less, what's going on? Couldn't get no answers. Just exactly what we had talked about last week. Nobody knew anything, and they've got these $150,000 cars or more, and they don't know what the hell they're going to do with them.
That's right.
So that's a real concern. Even right before we got on here, I was on there reading some updates to one of the threads, and there's guys on there like, oh shit, this is real.
That's right.
This may not happen. And there's people contemplating just exactly what we talked about. Are we going to build cars for one race or not?
That's right.
They need to know what's going on before they dump that money into those vehicles.
Right.
So, Jason's statement that was posted, let me put this in context. Jason's statement looked like it was very well written.
Right.
Much like a press release would be. But it said nothing other than he wasn't returning. MAO wasn't returning. Didn't say where it was going, and, more or less, I'm sorry, but I'm out.
Right.
Dave Cole, the day before, or maybe hours before, I don't know, it was before, he had issued a statement in that Rock Sports Insiders group. I'm going to read most of that for you, just so everybody gets, straight from Dave's mouth. because there's been some talk about Dave, and we mentioned it. Dave has so many days to retake the series, or he's out, or and I don't know what the actual legal is on this deal, but
Right.
Dave kind of clears that up. And listen, if Dave says it, it's pretty well the gospel. I don't think he would put anything in public that wasn't true. So I'm going to go over what he said, and then I'll kind of get your reaction, what you think. What you think is going to happen, I guess. All right, so Dave says there's several options, more or less, on how Ultra 4 goes forward. Option A, Mid-America Outdoors stays committed to Ultra 4. This is the best options for a few reasons, mainly consistency. The other is their announced schedule is rad. So he liked, and I think I misspoke last week and said there wasn't a schedule, but there was. They've just not confirmed it now that all this is going on. Right. So Dave wants them to keep it.
Right.
Option B, Mid-America Outdoors gets an offer to sell. Per the original contract, which stays intact with future owners, Hammer King Productions, which is Dave, gets first right of refusal. I can state practically and unequivocally, still can't talk, that he would not refuse any real opportunity. So I guess what I'm kind of confused on this deal. I think that means he would take it back if it was offered back to him reasonably.
Right.
Regardless, I still think he owns the license for the name Ultra 4. So I think that's part of what he is saying there. If they get an offer to sell, he has to also approve the sale.
Right.
So he would, if as long as it's a real person that knows something, he would say yes and allow that license to move to them. Option C is abandonment. If the entry levels drop below 50% of the 2020 levels, or MAO stops actively promoting the Ultra 4 brand, management of the license will revert back to Hammer King Productions. So what that basically says is MAO can't just quit.
Right.
If they quit, they lose it.
Right. Which, to go back to the press release from Jason Robinette, I have not read that word for word, but from the gist of it is that is what he is saying is he will no longer be pushing the Ultra 4 agenda.
I'm pretty sure he's out regardless. So
right.
He's just hoping that somebody realistically comes through and buys it.
Right.
Dave continues on saying, I have honestly no personal desire in regaining my status at the Hampton Inn. But I will do everything I can to ensure the survival and success of our series it took a village to build in the first place. The concept of partnering with other series, both national and local, is how we were born. The current schedule is a pretty good start. He goes on. The black and white answer is, and the answer was, are you buying the series or not?
Right.
Or the question was. The black and white answer is, I was told I could buy the series back for $500,000 and had 20 days to do so, or it was going to the open market. I don't have $500,000, and that's not the way our contract is written, so that is in Mid-America Outdoors court. These are the facts. So, I don't know. Take that last part as for what it's worth. I don't know if there's tension between the parties. What do you see actually happening?
I'm going to be like Dave, and I'm going to be like, I apologize for the vague answer in to start with, but I mean, this could go either one of two ways. It's either going to end up in court or it's going to be back in Dave's hands because it was abandoned.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If Jason's not going to do it, and I mean, you get into the contract of it, you know, and who knows how that's actually written. You get into the contract of it, and depending on the verbiage in there, Jason's more or less said he's not doing it.
Right.
Listen, he tried to give it to JT Taylor. He told JT, from what I understand, he told JT he could have it. JT didn't want it.
Right.
So he's not doing it. Jason's not doing it. If he doesn't find a realistic buyer before some of these dates have to be, solidified, which they should have already been. If he doesn't find a buyer before those dates are solidified, I don't know what happens. Right. I don't think Dave Cole is going to buy it back. I think he's going to sit there and wait for this contract to go null and void.
Right.
That way he doesn't have to put out any money. He gets it back.
Right. And that would be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, especially if he doesn't. I mean, I don't think he would let it go away, but he also doesn't want to do it.
Right.
And best case scenario for him is, and he said best case scenario is Mid-America keeps it, but I think the best case scenario is somebody different ends up with it.
Right.
Because Jason's already pretty much washed his hands of it. And if he doesn't want it, he doesn't want it.
Right.
Let it go away. You don't want somebody trying to lead the ship that jumped off, while it was sinking. So I don't know. I'm real curious on I would like to know when this started.
Right.
Havasu has been several weeks ago now.
Right. I saw the Ultra 4 schedule for next year around that time, I believe.
I remember seeing it now that they'd released it. I couldn't get it in my brain last week. It's just, dude, I just can't. I don't know. I don't know how you and it's not Jason or Dave's responsibility to ensure we don't race Ultra 4, but it's not their responsibility to ensure that we have somewhere to go.
Right.
We take the risk when we build a car.
Right.
Just like dirt track racers all the time. They build a car, their track shuts down, where they got to go.
Right.
Either quit or move. And I mean, that's pretty well the same thing for Ultra 4 guys. If it doesn't happen, either quit or move.
Right.
It just sucks because if I've been around National Rock so long now, if Clyde wasn't doing his thing, I don't know what I'd do.
Right.
I don't know where I'd go. That's my home.
That's right.
Years ago, you done more pro rock than you did National Rock.
Right.
I didn't give two damns about pro rock.
Right.
It just was a different crowd. It was a different atmosphere. It wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, we went to some, don't get me wrong,
right.
But I just didn't feel the same. So like these Ultra 4 guys, that's their family.
That's right.
And if they have to pack up and move to, I have been educated. There is a few style series out there for the 4,400 cars. There's 3 or 4 different things going on.
Right.
But none of them carry the clout, I guess.
Right.
That U4 has always had.
Right.
Or I say always, especially the last several years. So I don't know. I hate it for those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do too, but I mean, I always try to look positive about everything. I mean, yeah, this sucks. It's the worst thing.
Well, I just hope it works out some way.
It will. It will. And it's like we've seen this in the past with UTV stuff. it's we all have been attached to a series that is no longer uh, available, and all of us turned out fine. We're doing great. We miss it, but we're still here racing, having a good time.
Yeah.
And main thing is that the fans still transition from one series to the other, and we may not be able to run certain parks or certain events. We're all still a family, and we're still all here, and we're supporting each other and rooting for each other. And it's kind of the same way with the Ultra 4 guys. Like I feel sick that some of these guys are just now finding out, and I kind of feel bad that they had to find out, or some of them had to find out through our podcast.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know. Some people joke around about it, but it's one of those things, like you said, when you're sitting here building a $100,000 UTV to go race King of the Hammers, you're like, well, I can also justify this build and have all these sponsors because I'm going to be running the Ultra 4 Series next year. And then you're already got the ball rolling to build this car for Hammers, and then you find out the series is just dissolving. So,
yeah, that's the hard thing for me.
Right.
Finding quality events, and I say quality, there's only outside of, like, for UTVs, you've got your big short course series, you got U4, you've got the score races, Baja and Vegas to Reno and the Mint, all that stuff. And then you've got us. I consider that the top.
Right, top tier.
Top tier. All of that I consider is about as good as it can get. You lose a quarter of that with your Ultra 4 races. The racers are still going to be there, and it's still going to be, the racing is still going to be just as damn good.
Right.
The machines are going to be just as capable, but they're going to be under a different flagship, and the value to their partners is not there.
Right.
So they're going to have to they're going to be forced into, I guess, they could be forced into some uncomfortable situations, having to do some stuff that's out of their wheelhouse.
Right.
Learn new disciplines. I don't know. It'd be tough. Yeah. Hopefully it'll all work out. Another thing I did notice too, while we're on the Ultra 4 MAO wagon, I would hate to know the amount of money that was spent on the rallycross track at Mid-America. I noticed that Nitro Cross is not on the schedule there next year.
Really?
The Nitro Cross schedule is out. Mid-America is not on it again. They Nitro Cross opened their season there last year. Not on the schedule this year. Listen, that's still a new concept, that's whole series. It's not old. Right. So I don't know if that was their original plan, if they try to hit different venues every year, and maybe they do. But with the partnership that I thought was happening with Nitro Circus and MAO, and maybe Nitro Circus still goes back out there, right, for Visions or does some one-off events. But I did notice that Nitro Cross was not on the schedule, so that's also something to keep your eyes on going forward. How does that relationship, how is it changed or changing with Mid-America? Because, listen, that's been a big marketing deal for them for the last 2 years.
Right.
So is that over with too?
Right.
I don't know.
I did see a post. I don't remember if it was MOA or Mid-America or Nitro Circus or Travis, but I did see a post that he was saying, stay tuned for the big things coming in 2024. So I know at some point Travis will be there, but we don't know what that entails.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, that contract or whatever could still be. I'd heard they were going to blacktop a big bunch of that
Right.
for them, and maybe that's the plan, to blacktop some of it, and then they come back in 25.
Right.
I don't know, but with them not being on the schedule and the amount of money it cost them to build that course for those guys for that race, something to keep your eyes on.
That's right.
Okay, so like we said at the start of the show, this is going to conclude season 1. We're not going to be gone long. You'll have something in probably 3 weeks' time.
Right.
And we'll start season 2 down in Talladega, Alabama. We are headed to Top Trails for the Southern Bounty Series World Championship. We talked about that a little bit. I didn't get to see none of it last time I was there, so by God, I'm going back. Season 1's in the books. You got what's your favorite? Give us your favorite part of the first year.
Man, it's hard to nail down just one thing about this being my favorite. While it's on my mind, I do want to say this: we did 28 episodes this year, so that's on average one every other week. So you guys, thank you all for the support and the love. We've seen we've been trying to tell people when they come up to us, that's probably my favorite thing. You asked me what my favorite thing about season 1 was. The amount of people that have embraced us and they've seen us out at these events and telling us how much they appreciate the podcast, that they listen to us all the time. We're still trying to get our numbers up. We're still trying to get our views up. And it can be, sometimes it can be discouraging when you put it out there and it takes a few days for it to gain traction, but you eventually see those numbers pick up. But other than that, man, I really just enjoy people coming up to us. And as I tell all of them, if you have any ideas, anything we can do to make the show better, please give us some feedback.
Yeah, I can't remember where I was, which race it was, when somebody came up. I had no idea. And listen, guys, if you see me at a race and I have talked to you before and you say, "Hey, Bryant, how you doing?" and I look at you and go, "Hey, guy, I'm doing good." I'm horrible with names and faces.
Oh, yeah.
I am the world's worst. I may have talked to you 100 times. I may have no idea what your name is. That's just, I don't know, the Joe Biden in me, maybe the mental decline happening. I don't know. But we really appreciate you guys coming up. And I don't remember where we were. I don't remember who it was, but somebody came up to me and they were like, "Dude, we listened to the podcast all the way here. We really enjoyed it." And I about died.
Yeah.
Damn, somebody come up and actually listened to our show and said they liked it. So we must be doing something. So yeah, that was cool. And the last 4 or 5 events we were at throughout the year, somebody different come up every time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We appreciate all you guys. What was your most memorable?
Dude, I don't know. I think the funnest, other than that was, I'm kind of the same place you are with that. I guess our best episode, or my funnest episode, was our little bonus episode downtown.
Yeah.
In downtown Monticello, where we just had some people hanging out with us and just chatted for a little while and talked about some of the machines that were there, and we had Jason Phelps was there, and I can't even remember who else. There was 3 or 4 people jumped on with us there. I don't know. That was just laid back. Had a good time. Enjoyed that. We've done a couple interviews And
Right.
for people listening, that's the quotation fingers interviews. Guys, I have no idea we have no idea what we're doing. None.
Right.
We're winging it.
That's right.
So the interviews have been interesting. I want to get in to do more of those next year. Have some more guests on with us.
Yes.
We want to try and make that more regular, and that may mean, we've always recorded on Tuesday nights, so that may mean moving to a different night. And that's fine if that's what we got to do to make it more more accessible for interviews. We're going to start getting some more content at the events. Talk to some drivers while we're there. Some stuff to add in. So that's going to be cool stuff to look out for next year. But yeah, for me, my favorite episode was just a little bonus episode we done. Guys, go back now that the season's over if you want. And it's all documented, our whole season. So go back, listen to it. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like.
Maybe who you'd like to see us interview for next year.
Yeah. Leave us some comments. We'll try and get, I don't know. I'll ask anybody. All they can do is tell me no. So we've got some things in the works. Like I said, really appreciate everybody coming up to us. That, like Dan said, we're trying to get the numbers up. We're doing better than I think I anticipated we would do.
Oh yeah.
So that's good. We still want to get that up, and we know we're in a small market with the hill killing stuff. We're in a small market, and I feel like there's a big portion of our racers and industry members that listen. We would like to get some more fans in, like just straight up fans. So we're going to try and come up with some ways to incorporate some of those people too. But yeah, keep the ideas coming. We'll try some different segments throughout the year next year, and we're making notes. We got a big whiteboard over here. We'll jot something down on it, and we'll make it happen. But that's it for season 1, brother. We made it.
Congratulations.
Yep. We'll see you in
your
do what?
Top cap. I said enter now the beer top cap Kachewin for the celebratory into season 1. Yeah.
Big God.
Water. Bottle here.
It's been fun. Guys, we'll see you in 2024.
Peace.
Bye. This podcast is brought to you by Out the Top Media. Check us out on YouTube for race recap videos, tech tips, installs, product reviews, and much more.